When I met him, he paid tribute to Negro leader Dr. Martin Luther King and warned of the danger of a takeover by the bitter and militant black Muslim movement.
And I thank God every night that a man like King is the man who we call our leader, rather than several other men that I could think of who would be going for personal glory, who would be... It's amazing when I look at a man like King and I say that I thought when Gandhi died that was the last of it, you know, and that there wouldn't be another. I think King is, well, he's followed the whole Gandhi doctrine. That's what we, you know, nonviolence and just passive resistance and all of that, which I believe in greatly. I think that's the only way. We can't no longer sit as 20 millions of people and just say, well, we'll take whatever little graciousness that people will throw at us. We're citizens of a country, we deserve our rights, and we've got to get them. And we want to get them in the best amiable way. We don't want, I don't want the black Muslims to take over, which will happen if we don't, it'll happen within a short period of time. I mean, when I say short period of time, comparatively short. 5, 10 years, the Muslims will take over, and that'll be it. And then it'll be chaos, because they have hatred going for them, and it's steeped up in many of my people.
What draws Negroes to join the black Muslim movement?
Hatred. No chance, no opportunity. You know, the people who dropped out of school 10 years ago, who now are just sitting there in the middle, they got nothing to do, nothing to go for. Suddenly, here's a chance to strike back. And they teach this hatred. And hatred is bad whether it's black or white. I don't believe in it. I've never believed in hatred. I believe in my rights to dislike you. If you're a bad guy, you don't come up to my qualifications of what I think a friend should be. But I can't dislike you from a mile away because you're white. I just can't. Nor can I like you if you were a Negro by the same token. I got to have my rights to choose. And people say to me, particularly when I go to another country, they say, well, based upon the Civil Rights Program, are they trying to legislate that the Negro must be accepted socially? This is not the point. Civil rights. Not in the way I see it.
How do you see it?
I see it as job opportunities. I see it as educational opportunities. I see it as a chance to strive for a better way of life. And if a man has the money, if he has so worked and has so educated himself to get into the position to have a chance at a job, he should not be denied that job just because he is a Negro, if he has all the other qualifications, which happens in my country. And I dare say happens in all countries, you know, in one way or another. There's no country that can stand back and say, look at us, we're free from prejudice. Hawaii suffers it, where they have a melting pot of all races. It's a big thing going on now there. England, there is prejudice, we know that. And I dare say you have a touch of it here, somewhere along the line, although I'm not as familiar, because I usually hit Australia and then go, and then I come back for 4 days and leave again. So, and I'm not exposed to it, but I'm sure that if I got into the workings of the city and I was able to spend 6, 7 months here, I'd be exposed to it one way or another. Perhaps not to me, but I would see it happening to someone else of black skin.
Do you feel there's a gulf between you and people like you, Sammy, and the ordinary Negro, the man not very well educated who's looking for a job and finding it tough?
Well, of course, there's a simpatico, because there was a period for the Negro, for the black man, where he felt that he was disassociated, those who had strived. Well, man, that's their trouble, baby. It ain't mine. I made it. That's a lot of hogwash, and it doesn't happen anymore. And it can't be anymore, because, as I said, what happens to the girl and boy in Alabama reflects upon my 2 kids in Beverly Hills. It has to. We have no choice, so you must help. You must do everything conceivably possible to help it.
There was, I believe, quite a bit of opposition to your marriage and a lot of sniping at the time. Did this worry you?
Well, I don't think that any man can not be worried by people picketing outside and saying the vile things they said about my wife. I think if it hadn't been for the strength that she showed, if it hadn't been for the tremendous amount of support I received from the close friends, the buddies, and I must say this, in all honesty, the support I received from the members of the press and various television and all that, all over the world, in essence saying, hey, these people are entitled to a little happiness, leave them alone, let's find out what happens, you know. I don't know what I would have done, because it's no fun for a year after you're married to be threatened every day of your life, to walk into a place you're going to play and be told that We've had 14 bomb threats. It's no fun to walk on the stage and know that there are 2 FBI guys here and 2 FBI guys on either side looking at the audience to see if someone's going to come up and shoot you. And to be picketed by Norman Rockwell and the American Nazi Party every time you go to play a place. It's no fun, and you can't brush it off. There's nothing in my makeup that makes me, Charlie Hero. I'm not. And I got scared many times, but I knew that I only had one thing to do. I had to work to support my family. I couldn't, I'm not so financially comfortable that I could sit back and say, well, I'll wait for a year until it cools off. And I think by doing that, though it was not the plan, but by doing that, I think we drew a lot of people to our sides who said, well, gee, at least the guy's got a little guts. He's up there doing something for himself, and he's trying to make a decent life. Because I've had people walk to me, both black and white, and say, pardon me, I disagree with mixed marriages. I don't like it. But I must say that you handle yourself nice.
Some years ago, you were converted to Judaism. Now, what drew you to the Jewish faith? Why did you become a Jew?
The feeling of justice that lies within the faith itself, within the religion. There is a great deal of justice taught in Judaism. I had been a Catholic, and I was raised in Catholicism. My mother was a Catholic, my father was a Baptist. And then I became sort of nothing for a while. And I looked around. I was really shopping for something to believe in, because see, when you're a performer, you deal in such intangibles that you need a religion to hold on to. You really do. Now, I'm speaking purely as a performer, a guy who's done this all of his life. I know nothing else except performing. Then I had my accident, and I had talked to a rabbi, and just went in. I was always doing benefits, even in those days, in the early 50s for me. For anyone who would ask, and if there was anything connected with kids, I would be there in a moment. And I did a program for a Jewish community center. And I started talking to the rabbi, and the rabbi obviously thought, well, here's a guy who's interested in finding out about another religion, not in the terms of conversion, but just for general knowledge. So he gave me a couple of books, and I read them, and then when I had my accident, after I had the accident, I came out, and I needed something desperately to hold on to, and I found myself being more and more convinced that Judaism was it for me. Again, I say, I converted to Judaism. Judaism did not convert to me.
Do you feel that this has made you now a part of the Jewish history and Jewish tradition, that you've become a part of this now?
Well, I think, let me put it this way, no, I could not be a part of that tradition. I can only try to steep myself in the tradition that is Judaism. I know that there is a sort of a kinship between the plight of the Negro and the plight of the Jew, the oppression, the segregation, the constant trying to survive and the trying to achieve dignity. The Negroes had the sort of cliches thrown at him racially all the time, and the Jews had it for hundreds and hundreds of years. But there is a kinship there. There is something. It's very close. You find a Negro neighborhood, if there's 4 stores, it's owned by Jewish people. And this isn't because of the monetary situation. I think it has nothing to do with economics. I think it has something to do very much deeper, because we know that most Negro communities, particularly the ghettos where I was born in, like in Harlem, there ain't no money there. There just ain't any. But the kids that I played around with, the white kids that I knew in the block, were either Jews, mostly, or Italians. And it's a very strange thing, but you find it very true.
You said you first started thinking seriously of religion when you wanted to, you were looking around for something to hang on to.
Yes.
Did this also give you an identity, something to identify yourself with? You were looking for an identity.
I imagine psychologically you could say that, yes, but I was looking for something to believe in, really. You got to believe in something. You can't believe in applause on stage. Because tomorrow night, this business being as it is, there might not be any applause for you. So that, again, it's something that's not really there. You need something that you can say, that's definite, and that's sure, and that I believe in. And at the time, I wasn't married, and I didn't have children, so therefore I needed it all the more, being a single guy on the road and going from pillar to post, as it were. And that gets to be a little dull after a while. That has no attraction. So you need something. And to me, Judaism was and is and will remain it for me religiously. You know?
And how important is applause to you as a performer?
Oh, as a performer now, once you get the other thing going for you, you can look at that proportionately and you say, gee, it's wonderful, and I owe my public this much, the best I can always offer. This is what I want. I want to give them a great performance. I want to work hard for them because they have made me what I am professionally. I never went to school. I had no schooling whatsoever. So I had the thrill of reading The Three Musketeers and Oscar Wilde and all of that when I was like 19, 20 years old. So I could understand it. And what a joy it was, you know. It really was.